All right, let's talk about something that's a huge deal in marketing, but so often misunderstood. It's this idea of incrementality. We're going to get into what actually moves the needle for your business and what's just, noise that looks good on a report.
So, let me ask you this. Think about your marketing dashboards for a second. They're probably filled with all these beautiful charts, graphs, impressive-looking numbers. But are they telling you the truth, the whole story, or are they just telling you the easy, convenient one? We're about to find out why that question is so incredibly important. And here's the fundamental problem we're all dealing with. Your dashboards are fantastic at showing you activity. They'll tell you how many clicks you got, how many impressions, maybe even how many conversions. They tell you what happened, but they almost never tell you why it happened. They're showing you correlation, not actual causation.
For years, we've all been trained to worship at the altar of attribution models, right? Last click, first click, multi-touch, whatever the flavor of the month is. And look, they're fine for some high-level reporting, but here's the key takeaway. They are absolutely the wrong tool for making critical decisions about your budget or your strategy.
This slide right here, this is everything. On one side, you have attribution. It tells you where a customer saw an ad. It's all about correlation. But on the other side, you have incrementality. This tells you what actually worked. It measures true causation, the real, measurable, additional impact of your marketing efforts. It's the old way versus the new way.
So, how do we make that jump? How do we get from just seeing correlations to actually knowing what caused a sale? Well, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful idea: lift. This is how we start to separate the real signal from all that background noise.
Let's just define this really clearly so we're all on the same page. Incrementality is simply the measure of the lift that your marketing creates. It's the science of figuring out which sales happened only because you ran that campaign and separating them from the sales that, let's be honest, were probably going to happen anyway.
I absolutely love this way of thinking about it. You have to start acting less like a reporter and more like a scientist running an experiment. The big question is no longer, hey, which channel gets the credit? The real question, the one that matters, is what was the difference between a world with our marketing and a world without it? That difference, that's your real impact.
Okay, so we get the what and the why. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's get practical and walk through the playbook that the best performance marketers out there are using to measure what really, truly matters.
Just think of this as your new operating system for growth. It starts with the diagnostic piece. You got to understand your baseline. What do sales look like on a normal day with all the usual ups and downs? Next, you build what's called a synthetic control model. It's basically a digital twin of your business that predicts what would have happened if you did nothing. Then, the lift calculator is easy. It just measures the gap between what actually happened and what your model predicted. That gap, that's your incremental lift. And finally, the decision layer. This is where you take that causal data and make smart calls. Scale what works, kill what doesn't. Simple as that.
And you know what's so great about this? When you switch to this system, all the noise just disappears. You can pretty much ignore all those old vanity metrics and just laser focus on 3 North Stars. First, incremental conversions. How many extra sales did we get? Second, incremental cost per conversion. What did it really cost to acquire one of those new customers? And finally, incremental ROAS. This is the only return on ad spend that actually tells you if your campaign was profitable.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine you run a campaign and your standard dashboard probably reports 300 conversions. You're probably feeling pretty good about that, right? Time to celebrate.
But then you do the real work. You run a proper incrementality analysis. And you discover that the actual true incremental lift, the number of sales that would not have happened without your campaign, was only 180. Just look at that chart. That's a 40% difference. Your attribution report was overstating your real impact by a huge margin. Now, this isn't just a reporting mistake. This is a massive strategic blind spot. It completely changes how you should spend your next dollar. You were about to reinvest in a campaign based on a number that was almost half fiction. And that right there, that brings us to the ultimate payoff. This is not just about having more accurate spreadsheets. This is about fundamentally changing how you think about and how you actually drive real sustainable growth. Because when you measure causal impact, everything just clicks into place. Your budgets become incredibly smart because you're only funding what's proven to work. Your campaigns get sharper because you're optimizing for real lift, not just meaningless clicks. And maybe most importantly, your whole team starts focusing on actual business outcomes, not just chasing vanity metrics.
And let's be really clear about this.
This is the new dividing line in marketing. Good teams are great at reporting on activity, but great teams measure and drive causal impact. This mindset shift is what separates the absolute best from everyone else.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Take a good, hard look at your own reports, your dashboards, and your strategy. Are you set up to measure activity, or are you truly set up to measure your impact? Because the answer to that question is going to determine your future growth.